Hey everybody, welcome back to our social learning channel. We are already up to episode 5, and it's likely that you've read the topic of today's episode, which is exercise. So maybe you're already incorporating exercise into your social skills program or into your classrooms or whatever other types of programs you're running in your centers or clinics, and you want to get some more ideas or see how we're doing it. Or maybe you're just curious, what on earth is a social skills provider doing talking about exercise? Regardless of the reason why you're tuning into this episode, very glad to have you here. Please don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us out and encourages us to make more videos when we know that they are of value. So today, exercise, exercise, exercise. So by no means am I a fitness instructor, but we have found so much value in incorporating sports and exercise into our program, particularly for our older participants. Many of the kids that we serve, kids, teens, young adults, are leading very sedentary lifestyles. So a lot of couch sitting, a lot of iPad playing, TV watching, video game playing, not a ton of movement, which leads to some, of course, health concerns potentially later on, but also limits opportunities for some other social interactions or growth of additional social skills. So we want to kind of hit that from all angles. So let's jump into that episode and talk more about how we are incorporating exercise into our program. I've already mentioned a sedentary lifestyle. So if you're working with a population similar to the participants that we work with, individuals with autism and related disabilities, a leisure skills repertoire is often very limited, so restrictive or repetitive type interests. I see a lot of, as I mentioned, iPad as the most valuable reinforcer, how participants are utilizing their downtime, maybe watching movies, maybe playing video games. That's a concern long term. I already mentioned the health reasons, but having such a limited leisure skills repertoire reduces the number of opportunities that you have to interact socially with others. So from just a general health perspective, we certainly want to see our kids moving a little bit more, and I shouldn't say kids, our participants, young adults, moving a little bit more, increasing overall healthy lifestyle type behaviors. But we also want to increase opportunities to successfully engage with others and be included in additional types of activities. So when we get really young kids or children coming into our centers, it's easier for us to build a play skills repertoire. Playing with toys, is still very developmentally appropriate. When we get a 16-year-old coming in or an 18-year-old coming in, we're not so much teaching them to play with toys anymore. That's going to even not really going to help increase opportunities to engage with others because other peers their age are not doing those types of things. So if we're looking at areas of strength and need, if we're seeing a lot of deficits in language or some cognitive abilities, sports or fitness is a great repertoire to start to build. So I can talk more about sports in a later episode, and drop me a comment if you're interested in how we teach sports or play sports in center, because we do that quite a bit. Drop me a comment and let me know so I can spend more time on that in a later episode. But today is going to be focused more on exercise, an exercise routine that we have established. And obviously we like that because you have to get up and get moving when you're exercising. But also from a social perspective, there's a lot of great embedded target skills. So if we're exercising as a group, we like to assign one participant to be the leader for each exercise. So that participant will be able to choose from an array. So here's a great time for visual support. So you can use pictures or you can use textual prompts if you have a group of readers. Completely up to you. Use your best clinical judgment. So you have an array to choose from. I would want to see that participant selecting the choice and then gaining peer attention and giving the direction. So for example, come on everybody, let's do jumping jacks. Hey guys, let's do squats. Come on team, we're doing arm circles. So you may need to of course model that language initially because it's a new skill that you're teaching, but that is a great opportunity to gain peer attention, take on some sort of leadership role, improve confidence, think about the type of speaking skills that are needed, making sure the volume is clear, that you're orienting physically toward the group that you're speaking to. A lot of great targets that you can break down and then individualize from participant to participant. Okay, so now that we've gotten everybody's attention, hey, let's do jumping jacks. Well, you didn't tell us how many. So that's a great opportunity if information is left out for the group to say, how many? You're now manding for information. So great target skills for the leader of the activity, great target skills for the exercisers or audience, if you will. Once you're starting to do the exercise, it's likely that you will also count along. So nice and clear, loud counting, you're still taking on that leadership position if only the leader is counting. I do like to see that choral responding though, and the group counting together. With the population that we serve, a lot of our teens are coming from settings in which highly restrictive settings. So one-to-one supports, very small class sizes. So things like choral responding and talking as a group, there just wasn't a lot of opportunity for that. It wasn't taught because maybe it just wasn't needed in those settings. So I find that in our program, we really focus a lot on that, teaching kids to call out and being more spontaneous. You don't have to just speak when spoken to. So that may be different than some other etiquette type classes, but here I want to hear those voices more often. I want to see that spontaneity. So choral responding is great for that, counting together. 1, 2, 3, excellent. You also have the timing piece. So you will hear me talk a lot about the importance of fluency and timing in successful social interactions. You have to be matching your interaction or your conversation partner. If one person's too fast, it's going to mess with the flow of that interaction. So that participant is not going to look skilled socially. Same thing if they're moving too slow. That timing has to be in sync. We're looking for that synchronicity. So that's great to work on during exercise. We're counting together to a beat, to a rhythm. So you have the gaining the group's attention, giving the direction, requesting more information if needed, choral responding, and working on that timing and synchronicity. What I have found as a side effect is a lot of our participants are now able to do independent exercise routines at home because we've been structured with the type of exercise activities that we're doing. So they're familiar with certain exercises such as jumping jacks, squats, forward arm circles, backward arm circles. We'll do something called chair kick, sitting in the chair and raising your legs. There's a couple other ones that are part of our repertoire. So now if we say to one of our participants or we put on a schedule, it's time to exercise, or exercise comes up on the schedule, they're able to go through that routine with more and more independence because of the familiarity with the way that we've been structuring that. So that is a great side effect because it helps to fill the day a little bit more productively at home, but between sessions. So I mentioned making sure that the participants have an idea for what the exercises would be. So initially you're going to have to utilize visual supports, and you can keep those in place long term if you're changing out the exercises. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's why I'm not calling it a prompt. It's not something that we're really looking to fade out necessarily. So we have a couple created in Google Slides, and I will show you examples of those if it's something that you may want to incorporate into your virtual instruction, or if you have access to a smart TV in your center during your on-site or in-person sessions, you can certainly put that up there. Otherwise, just print out and laminate pictures. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. I'm always talking about stimuli. It's just stimuli. It's just visuals. It's really about how you utilize them. So just because I'm showing you an example of Google Slides does not at all mean that that's how it has to look. All I'm presenting to you is the use of visual support and how that can help to prompt. I said I wasn't going to use the word prompts, but prompt some of those target behaviors that you're looking for. So let's see how they look. All three of these templates were created in Google Slides. This one was done by Miss Marissa, and she did an awesome job. So she's utilizing this within her teen group, which meets virtually. So over here, you have the list of the different types of directions: jumping jacks, squats, running in place, etc. Here's the textual prompt. Come on, everyone, let's blank. And they're filling in the blank with one of the exercises from this list. Here you can see it says name, 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 name. So Miss Marissa would fill this in with her participants' names. I just removed it to protect everybody's identity. she would have those names typed in here prior to the session to indicate that everybody's going to take a turn as leader. So on their turn, so if it was me, for example, I would say, come on, everybody, I could choose anything from this list. So I might say, come on, everybody, let's do 10 shoulder rolls, and I'll lead us 1, 2, 3, counting to 10. Miss Marissa could then use the annotation feature. We utilize Zoom, so Zoom has that option. She could utilize the annotation feature and cross off, which I could probably do right now. Yes, I can. So I can cross off 10 shoulder rolls. And let's say this said Miss Ashley, I could check off that I have gone. So another person could then say, oh, I'd like to take a turn, or I'll go next. And they would say, come on, everyone, let's do 5 squats. So we do our 5 squats. I'm crossing them off, and I'm checking off their name. This also serves as a cue or a prompt for people to spontaneously take their turn. So take a look, monitor, and determine when is a good time for them to go, or if they haven't taken a turn yet. Okay, so that's example number 1. Let's take a look at the next one. Here, let me clear that annotation. All right, so here's some picture options at the bottom. What I found was that our participants tended to keep them linked together. So they were always saying, let's do 10 chair kicks, let's do 15 jumping jacks, 20 arm circles. So what you may want to do if that's happening is rearrange this a little bit so you have the numbers in a different order, or not numbers that match identically to the amount of exercises that you have, because we don't want it to be so rote or stuck in that same routine. So be cautious of that. Just another example of visual supports. And the last example here, so this is a group of readers. You can see now in this example, there's only 3 numbers as opposed to a number matching each of the activities. So you're gonna have to double up on a couple things. So that helps with not being so rote. So we could do 20 jumping jacks, we could do 30 elbow taps, whatever it might be. So again, I hope that this was useful in giving you a little bit more information about how we are incorporating exercise into our social skills program, and how we're not just focused on the movement, the fitness, and the health piece, but also how we're embedding a lot of social skills and social language targets within that. So if you're interested in learning more, you have any questions, absolutely feel free to drop me a comment below and I will reply. Looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.